With an Israeli attack looming, Iran and its allies are trying to rally. The Iranian president was in Qatar, embracing Halil al-Hayya and the political leadership of Hamas, whose attack on Israel last October started a year of war and a crisis that is deepening. Halil al-Hayya became the most senior Hamas leader outside Gaza after Israel assassinated his predecessor, Ismail Haniyeh, in July. His leg was broken in the attack and he was still in a surgical boot when we met him in Doha a few hours before Iran attacked Israel on Tuesday. Let us go back to the 7th of October last year. Why did Hamas attack Israel?
We had to sound an alarm to the world to tell them that we are a people with a cause and demands. It was a blow to Israel, the Zionist enemy, and a wake-up call to the international community. We had to do something that would tell the world that there is a people who have been under occupation for decades.
Why did your men kill so many civilians, children as well?
We ordered our resistance fighters on the 7th of October not to target civilians, women and children. The objective was the occupation soldiers, who were always killing, bombing and destroying in Gaza. We don't endorse harming civilians. On the ground, there were certainly personal mistakes and actions. The fighters may have felt that their lives were in danger.
Your men who weren't in danger, they were standing with terrified civilians who were sitting on the ground, and they were standing over them with weapons. That is not a battle.
We've all seen how the fighters went into the houses, they spoke to the families, they ate and drank.
They were shooting them. There are videos.
When they went into some of the houses, none of the women and children they dealt with were terrified. Those videos were published by the Israeli occupation. They weren't published by us.
Almost a year later, Gaza is in ruins. There are more than 40,000 dead, many of them are civilians. Your capacity to fight Israel has been massively diminished. Was it worth all of that?
Who's responsible for this? It was the occupation and its army. Who destroys Gaza? Who killed its people? Who is now killing civilians in shelters, schools and hospitals? Ask the world and those who created international law. We are defending ourselves. If 1,200 people from the occupation are killed, how does that justify Israel killing 50,000 people and destroying all of Gaza? Isn't that enough for them? But they are motivated by the lust to kill, to occupy, and the lust to destroy.
The Israelis say very clearly that they respect the laws of war, and they also say that the reason why so many civilians have died is because you and Hamas fight from within the civilian population, and you use them as human shields.
That is not true. They destroyed mosques on top of the heads of their owners when there were no fighters. They destroyed houses and high-rise buildings when no one was in them. They bombed houses when there were not a single fighter in them. It is all Israeli propaganda.
Why was it necessary to take more than 250 people hostage in Gaza, very many of them civilians, including women and children?
One of the goals of the 7th of October was to kidnap a small group of Israeli soldiers to exchange them for Palestinian prisoners. But when the Gaza division completely collapsed in the face of the resistance fighters, we took a lot of prisoners. It was not our plan to capture civilians, including women and children.
Some of those women who came out said that they were sexually assaulted.
The orders and ethics of all Palestinians and resistance fighters were humanitarian. We are brought up according to the Islamic religion, culture and national civilization. We protect them as we protect ourselves. Sexual or non-sexual assault has never been proved.
There are numbers of testimonies from women who say they were sexually assaulted. Some of the young women who were taken out of the Nova Music Festival, women saying that they were sexually assaulted on the 7th and later on. The evidence is piling up.
I told you the instructions were clear. There may have been abnormal acts by irresponsible people, but these were just allegations.
Israel says that under the right circumstances they would have a ceasefire. What about a ceasefire, for example, where you simply give back the hostages and the war ends? Would you accept something like that? That's been talked about, I know.
السؤال متى يأخذ نتنياهو
The question is, when will Netanyahu decide to stop the war? When will the world compel him to stop the war? It is the decision of Netanyahu and the Israel occupation to continue the war.
You could do it. You could surrender.
كيف نستسلم؟
How can we surrender? People who resist the occupation do not give up. If we surrender, which is impossible, our children, our people won't give up. Why should we surrender? The occupation should stop killing. Reaching a ceasefire deal was within reach on the 2nd of July. Who came up with new conditions? Netanyahu. That's why there was no agreement.
Gaza's in ruins. Tens of thousands of people are dead. Israel is now heading into Lebanon, and they're feeling strong. You're not winning this, are you?
My family, my children, my family, my relatives, and my neighbors are in Gaza. We see with their eyes. We feel their pain. We cry for their wounds. What hurts them hurts us. If the world gave us our legitimate rights, this cycle of violence would stop. But Israel does not want that. The return of refugees and self-determination, the region will not calm down, no matter how much death and killing take place.
For you, is the Israeli state part of the future? The Hamas charter said that the Zionist state had to be destroyed.
We say that Israel wants to eliminate Hamas and the Palestinian people. Israel is crying and claiming that Hamas and the Palestinian people want to destroy it. Let's ask what Israel thinks of the Palestinian people. Give us our rights. Give us a fully sovereign Palestinian state.
The Israelis say that the reason why they don't accept a two-state solution is because they fear that people like you want to destroy their state and kill their people.
So far, Israel does not recognize a one-state solution or a two-state solution. Israel rejects it all: international resolutions, international law, and our rights.
Do you think of yourself as a terrorist? That's what Israel calls you.
I'm seeking freedom and defending my people. To the occupation, we are all terrorists, the leaders, the women, and the children. You heard what Israeli leaders called us. They said we were animals.